$9,000 a month. From pumping portable toilets, hauling dumpsters, and scrubbing grease traps. No franchise fee, no shiny new fleet, just cheap used gear. One of these 3 routes starts under $2,000. That one is last. Here's why boring wins. Nobody films a pump truck for TikTok, so no crowd rushes in and no venture money floods the space. That silence is the edge. Less competition, more room to charge fairly. All 3 routes below share one benchmark. Operators typically report clearing around $9,000 a month, net. On second-hand equipment and labor, most people flatly refuse to do. Number 3 is the one nobody talks about, and it might be the most defensible of the bunch. Let's start with the strongest of the first 2. First up, servicing portable toilets. Unglamorous, recurring, and weirdly steady. The gear that scares people off is a used vacuum truck, the tank on wheels that pumps and hauls the waste. Buy one second-hand, and you're often looking at $40,000 to $60,000, sometimes less for an older rig you fix up. That's the wall. Now the math. Construction sites and events rent these units by the month, and a single toilet is usually serviced weekly at roughly $150 a month, all in. Service about 60 units, and you're grossing around $9,000 a month before fuel and disposal fees. Why does the money hold? Because the demand is boring in the best way. A building site keeps a unit for the length of the project, months, sometimes a year. Events book in advance and repeat every season. Once a contractor trusts your route, they rarely switch over a few dollars. That's low churn. Customers stick around. One route operator told a trade forum that the hardest part isn't the smell. It's finding drivers who show up, keep the truck moving, and the accounts renew themselves. Hold that thought about recurring accounts, because the next business runs on the exact same engine, with a very different smell. Business number 2, hauling junk and cleaning bins. Same recurring engine, lower wall to climb. Here the used gear is simpler. A second-hand dump trailer or a work truck, plus a pressure washer for the bin cleaning version. Buy it all used, and you can often get rolling for $8,000 to $12,000. That's the appeal. Real equipment, garage sale price. The math splits 2 ways. Junk removal pays per job. A garage cleanout might run $400 to $600, and clearing 20 jobs a month lands you near $9,000 in revenue before the dump fees. Bin cleaning flips it to recurring. Homeowners pay around $35 a month to have their trash cans scrubbed, so a couple hundred accounts on a tight route hits the same number, month after month, on autopilot. Here's the part people miss. This one runs solo or part-time. One person, one truck, weekends only if you want. And remember, we still have not hit number 1, the route that starts under $2,000. Because the trailer is cheap, and the labor is just yours, the whole thing scales at your own pace with almost no payroll. Trucks pass junk every single day. The operators who win simply pick up the phone first. Next up is the ugliest job on this list, and the one restaurants pay like clockwork to never think about. And now number 3, the one nobody talks about. Grease traps. Every restaurant has a tank under the kitchen that catches fat and food sludge before it clogs the city sewer. And by law, it has to be pumped out on a schedule. It's foul, it's mandatory, and almost nobody wants the work, which is exactly why it pays. The gear is a smaller used pump and tank setup, often $20,000 to $35,000 second-hand, cheaper than the toilet truck because the tanks are smaller. Now the money. A single restaurant pays somewhere around $150 to $300 per cleaning, on a contract that repeats every 1 to 3 months. Line up 40 to 50 restaurants on a rotation, and you're clearing around $9,000 a month in recurring service fees. Why is this the defensible one? 2 reasons. First, it's regulated. The restaurant can't skip it without failing inspection, so your invoice is basically non-negotiable. Second, switching vendors is a hassle they'd rather avoid, so contracts renew almost by default. Property managers behave the same way on foreclosure cleanouts and hood cleaning. Steady, unglamorous, contracted. A grease hauler wrote on a trade board that he's never lost an account to price, only to a driver quitting. That's a moat you can smell. Which brings us to the promise I opened with, the route that starts under $2,000. That one is next. Now the route that starts under $2,000. Bin cleaning on its own. No dump trailer, no truck to buy. The whole rig is a pressure washer and a hitch tank that mounts to a vehicle you already own. And a full used setup runs well under $2,000. Here's the common thread across all 3. Everyone trades a gross, boring job for something rare. Recurring revenue, near zero competition, and a cheap second-hand way in. So how do you test one where you live? Pick a route. Check your city's permits. Waste hauling and disposal are regulated, and that paperwork is the first real cost. Price one used truck or one used washer. Then go win your first 3 accounts before you spend a dime on anything bigger. If those 3 renew, you have proof the route works in your zip code. The honest catch: that $9,000 a month is a mature, full route, not week one. And it's earned through early mornings, foul smells, and labor most people quit within a month. Nobody's clearing $9,000 by Friday. But the operators who stick trade a job everyone avoids for a business, almost nobody will bother to copy. So there they are, 3 boring waste routes, each quietly clearing $9,000 a month on cheap used gear instead of new equipment or a franchise. If you're eyeing that used vacuum truck but the price tag stings, the video on your screen breaks down exactly how operators finance a first rig and scale past one route without drowning in debt. Subscribe, and every boring business teardown lands in your feed. Figures are typical ranges, not promises. Your results depend on your market and effort.